Isaac from Balochistan has asked, is religion responsible for creating terrorists? We have to look in terms of three dimensions. First one being the religion, and the second one being terrorism, and the third one being the pathway of identification. What is the purpose of any religion, may it be Islam or may it be Christianity or Hinduism? The purpose of every religion is to create an internal capacity that allows you to be one with the nature, with the existence, be in freedom internally as you are facing the challenges of the external world. The purpose of religion is to discover the inner divinity, to create that capacity of divinity so that in the mundane aspects of life you are completely undisturbed. You have a smooth ride in spite of difficulties and some good moments and some bad moments. That is the purpose of religion. Then if religion creates the better you out of you, and if every religion's purpose is this, how come today most of the social activists and the intelligent class of people are calling religions responsible for creating terrorism? That is because they are missing to see the role of identification within a human psyche. When you say, I am a Hindu, you have self-identified as Hindu. Similarly, someone calls himself a Muslim, someone calls himself a Christian. When you say, I am human, you have identified yourself as human. Similarly, all identifications on the physical body, like tall, short, beautiful, ugly, and so on and so forth. This process of attaching a meaning to yourself is called identification. Let's take an example. All terrorists have identified with the meaning of jihad. For a terrorist, the meaning of jihad is holy war. So the more an individual identifies himself with the holy war, and then slowly the purpose of why he has to be a part of the war, and so many ideologies being instilled into that individual through brainwashing or giving wrong ideologies to that individual and completely associating with holy war, you create a war material out of that individual. In his own mind, he starts to see that he is doing right things, an act to correct the society, an act to bring justice. So this is the identification process of a terrorist. On the contrary, if we look into what is jihad, then the real meaning of jihad is to go through the inner battle, inner war. There are three planes possible for a human being. One can be very animalistic in his existence. Animalistic meaning completely unaware about everybody's sensibilities around you, and utter selfish. The second plane is humane. You are partly selfish and you are partly unselfish. You are having sensibilities of the other, concerned, compassionate, kind, and peaceful, but at the same time, you are working from selfishness as well. And the topmost being divine, where you are completely unselfish within yourself, and you are just about moving your life in the possible manner you can. When a terrorist associates himself with jihad, the right meaning, that time, if that particular individual is in the second level, being humane, then the next step to become divine is a kind of war inside that individual. Holy, of course, to become more divine. And it is like a war, in the sense, the fight of your own internal goodness and badness. So your purpose is to fuel the goodness so that it becomes powerful. So war, in the sense, the possibility of you being more good and the possibility of you being more bad as the passing time of your life is a choice to you, and this is your internal war, jihad, to be one with the Almighty, the existence, the nature, altruism. So the identification of any child, when you associate jihad externally as holy war, and then supremacy of any particular religion over the other, and then you bring in an element of hate and injustice caused by any country or any person, and when these thoughts are attached to the holy war, you are creating a war material out of a simple, innocent child by brainwashing that child. And this identification, the pathway of identification, is responsible for creating terrorists. Religion by themselves are not responsible for creating terrorists. How you identify yourself internally is how your life reflects outside. As you are inside, so you are outside. Similarly, in a difficult situation, if your internal identification process gets blocked, then your life seems jammed. In the same difficult moment of your external world, if your internal identification process is unblocked, fluid, the energy floats, energy is not like ice, it is more like water, then the same challenge does not jam your life. It may take a small, unnecessary event, but then it releases by itself and presents itself as solution. The pathway of identification yourself is the key control of how your life progresses in the outside world. Religions are neutral. The pathway of identification is responsible for creating terrorists. Young children who are brought into holy jihad are least responsible for the situation. All government agencies and political structure should go full on dismantling this pathway of identification and their financial support and their infrastructure and the network of this same pathway of identification happening across the globe. That network should be dissolved, diminished, and eliminated. And those who are instilling this ideology into a young mind should be punished, brought into books, and should be behind bars. Then we would have a world without terrorists. At least we could progress positively in eliminating terrorism across the globe.